Good afternoon, Suidlanders. How are you? Mr. Miller was just here, and we held quite a serious meeting. Not a long meeting by our standards. I cannot stand long meetings. I can't bear them. But when Mr. Miller and I meet, they tend to be exhaustive. Not exhausting, exhaustive. In English, if you're listening as an English second language speaker, I can say to you fairly and in a nice way, exhaustive means that you covered all of the ground, you exhausted all of the topics, the relevant things to be discussed. They tend to be exhaustive, 4 to 6 hours long. This was not, it was only an hour and a half, but it was a good meeting. And when he left, I said to him, this doesn't excuse you from keeping your word, your assurance that you'll meet me next week, because a few days ago he said, I'll come and see you next week. It's just worked out that way that in recent months he's been coming in this direction. Previously I would usually go there, and I'm sure that's how it'll be in the future. Anyway, during the course of this meeting he was observing me handling Judith, my Malinois, now at I think 17 weeks on the calendar over there, going on for 18 weeks of age. And he said to me, I just couldn't. He said, this dog, how did he put it? I can't remember his exact words, but something like, is it fair to say that this dog has taught you patience? And I said to him, truthfully, that I've been more patient with this Malinois than I have with my 3 sons and all of my other dogs put together. Really, it's terrible that a father should admit that, but it is the case. I failed to do the week in review last week because I was in Johannesburg and I shot no less than 4 videos on that Friday. And really I was just kaput. Drove home, long way, about 90 kilometers. Where we shot was about 90 kilometers from where I was staying. And it started to rain. By the time that I was safely home, it was gone 7, I'm sure. Anyway, this is Suidlanders Week in Review. And we might as well get cracking because we've now got 2 weeks worth to cover. Am I on the right page of my list? I'm not going to be quoting the wrong list. Let's get going. I'm going to allude to this briefly, and in passing we'll do better coverage of it in due course. The banking crisis in the USA is spreading. It's spreading slowly. The federal government is pulling rabbits out of the hat that are in fact not even legal, for which there is no legal provision in order to make the crisis go away. It is very, very severe, and it looks as if, at the risk of being conceited, that what we have forecast over the past 4 or 5 years in this regard is going to transpire or manifest even more fully than we thought. You know, if you make 5 or 6 predictions out of a great deal of research, you might expect 2 or 3 not to be accurate. It's the name of the game. In this case, it's not looking that way. That's not as important as it seemed when I put it on the list. The Reserve Bank Governor Lesetja Kganyago said 2 Fridays ago that it's time for hard fiscal choices. Again, that's something we'll cover properly or more fully in due course, but South Africa is facing a bit of a crisis in terms of fiscus, that is, finance at governmental level, in simple terms. the money that keeps the country going. Very severe inflation in Germany. One of my sons now has a German girlfriend, quite an admirable lady by the looks of things, and she alluded to the severe inflation in Germany at present. Dmitry Medvedev on the 22nd, 2 weeks ago, said that England is going to be drowned under the waves with latest Russian technology, clearly an allusion to the Poseidon nuclear-powered and nuclear-armed, nuclear warhead torpedo. The Poseidon torpedo that was deployed recently by the Belgorod submarine somewhere in the oceans, nobody's sure where, but it came back to port without the 6 Poseidon torpedoes on board. We'll have 33% electricity price increases over the next 2 years, as Chris Yelland has explained in a mybroadband.co.za article. Zimbabwe is to launch a gold-backed digital currency. It's early days yet, only time will tell how successfully that is manifest. As you know, Suidlanders and Suidlandverdediging, the second leg of Suidlanders, in other words, Suidlanders Civil, Afdeling Buitelands, my little section, logistiek, bodyguards, discipline, communications, medical, and so on and so forth. The 17 civil departments formed one leg of Suidlanders. The other leg was Suidlandverdediging, as it was called. Civil and defense, the two legs, have split into separate legal entities, or there is an ongoing process of split into separate legal entities. But most of you are already very much familiar with that. Tucker Carlson was fired from Fox News. Big dramas. Nobody is entirely sure what is the reason. There are 5 or 6 experts on YouTube who have posited definitive reasons in their opinion. 5 or 6 people. This is the reason. That's the reason. No, this is the reason. No, they told me. I heard. I know. Nobody apparently really knows, or only one of the 6, and nobody knows who that one is yet. It's a very, very big thing. The voice of conservatism in mainstream media, the one solid voice in the USA, has departed the scene. We spoke in passing about the bank crisis in the USA. First Republic Bank deposits tumbled 40% in 3 months. It's just an anecdote. It's not a definitive point on the banking crisis. But when a big bank loses 40% of its deposits in 3 months, it's worth me sharing it with you. That's a big thing in the banking world in the USA. We learned from the Minister of Defense, the Secretary of Defense, Lloyd Austin, on, let me get the date right, on the 24th of April, a week before this one, that the West has transferred over 230 tanks and 1,500 other armored vehicles to Ukraine already, to equip 9 armored brigades. That just shows you how much shenanigans was going on when they were pretending that it hadn't yet happened. Well, we voted and we're going to send a 13 Abrams tanks, and Poland is going to send 24, and if Germany sends 12, then France will send 14. You remember all of these conversations that we've heard for the past 9 months, if not longer? Well, apparently they were going ahead and doing it in far larger numbers all along. The ICC drama, Vladimir Putin. I did a video about it yesterday. It may only have gone up or may only go up today. I don't remember when I scheduled it to be published on YouTube. But the long and the short of it is that the United States agitated, because that is what happened in the beginning if you really go back and look, based upon a university kids report for the ICC, of which the USA is not a member, to prosecute Vladimir Putin for the kidnapping, for the personal responsibility of the kidnapping of children in Ukraine. And lo and behold, the ICC has gone and done it. The Ukraine is not a signatory, Russia is not a signatory, the USA is not a signatory, and they're pursuing this thing, and many voices are saying that South Africa must take responsibility for arresting him when he attends the BRICS summit meeting. You know, like some famous mountain climber summited Mount Everest, summit meeting, the top guys, meeting of BRICS, topmost meeting of BRICS in August. And of course, that's just nonsense. 19 countries have formally submitted applications. We discovered this last week, Wednesday, I believe. Have formally submitted membership requests to BRICS prior to that BRICS summit meeting to which I was alluding. 19 countries want to join BRICS. It's the latest thing. We've had an ongoing story regarding Andre de Ruyter. We all know what happened there. He did the interview with ENCA. The next day he was fired. He has since been subpoenaed by the Parliament to testify. Now the ANC is saying that he has, what is the right word, that he's bad-mouthed them, slandered them, that the things he's saying are libelous. Poor ANC, we are the victims. He should never have said that cabinet ministers knew about the plundering, knew about the graft and the theft and the fraud, that ANC senior people were at the top of the pile, at the apex of the pyramid, the apex of the hierarchy of these criminal syndicates, of these criminal cabals. Should never have said it. Bad guy. He's now in Germany and they're going to serve papers for him to, papers of suing on him in Germany. That's the latest. Can you believe it? Sudan, what a story. But as we've endeavored to explain, don't get the Sudan thing wrong. It's very, very simple what has happened there. The Chinese signed an agreement for use for a base in Sudan. Not long after that, a long time rivalry or hostility was then exploited by the US State Department and the Central Intelligence Agency against the government that had struck that agreement with Russia. So all that's really happened is that the USA has opened a second front, or if you like, a third or a fourth or a fifth, if you want to count Syria, this one, that, against Russia. It's not a genuine, spontaneous, authentic crisis. And if you go onto some serious YouTube channels, you can learn about that very easily. South Africa threatened to withdraw from the International Criminal Court as a product of this drama, whereby South Africa is being told that it's going to have to arrest Vladimir Putin because South Africa is indeed a signatory to the ICC. And so it must arrest this guy whose country is not a signatory to the Rome statutes that constituted the International Criminal Court. It's all nonsense. Really, it is not worth giving it the attention that some people are giving it. We are receiving warnings from various corners, including the institute in Pietermaritzburg. I think it's called the Justice and Peace Institute, something to do with the University of Natal, about people suffering poverty, about food shortages, about an increase in food prices. This is building up. And we haven't heard the last of it. Of that I can assure you. And although we're covering 2 weeks in this one episode, this is going to be one of our shorter episodes because there have been some very big events, but not many very big events. Earlier this week we heard that the energy expert Ted Blom had died, which is, I suppose, a pity. I don't like to say that it's a pity if I don't know somebody. It's false, in my opinion, but it is certainly a very great pity that we've lost one of the voices in the debate, one of the sane voices in the Eskom debate. Then, when was it? Was it Tuesday that we learned of an attack on the Kremlin? 2 drones were filmed attacking the Kremlin and being destroyed. As one guy on YouTube calls it, the creme de la Kremlin. I thought that was quite funny. And supposedly it's an attack on Vladimir Putin. It was an attempted assassination of him. That sounds thoroughly absurd, because how they could possibly have known in that giant series of buildings, in that enormous complex, that I think it's a 41-acre compound, which bedroom he was sleeping in, I find it ever so difficult to believe. I'm quite positive that it was simply intended to be a provocation. It was designed to antagonize. It was designed to goad for a response. NATO is looking to up the ante all of the time in this war, and we've discussed that most extensively over the past 15 months. 14 months. March, April, May, 15 months. Dmitry Medvedev, former president of Russia's response was, this means that we shall now have to assassinate Volodymyr Zelensky. And Volodymyr Zelensky immediately hightailed it to Finland. Many people are claiming that he just ran away for that reason, because he takes Dmitry Medvedev's threat seriously. What else can I tell you? The regional banking crisis in the USA spreading, as PacWest and US Bancorp are also seen to be struggling now. This is from just the past couple of days. And ladies and gentlemen, I don't think that there's much more to tell you. Thank you very much for watching this video. Suidlanders Week in Review, or as the case might be, Suidlanders Fortnight in Review, because we were unable to do one last Friday. Please like, share and subscribe. And if you would like to help us in our work, we ask you very nicely, please make a donation. Please visit Suidlanders.org. Go into the home page, you press enter there, and then you just scroll down and you'll find a whole bunch of options, ways to donate, very convenient, very user-friendly. We need the help, and we appreciate the help. God bless you and yours for the times that lie ahead of us. And have a God-blessed weekend. Bye-bye.